Hi, everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast. I'm Dan Beecher.
And filling in for Frank, if you couldn't tell, it's Kate Birch again.
Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Thanks for jumping in here. Our dear friend Frank, y'all, is down with the vid.
Everybody gets it eventually. I haven't gotten it yet.
That you know
Knock
about.
on wood, knock on wood.
Yeah. So Frank's out for the count. He's doing okay. He's not in the hospital or anything, but he doesn't feel great.
He's feeling poorly.
So, yes, please do send your thoughts and prayers. Specifically prayers, I think. You need to...
Just work him into your daily prayer routine.
Start a prayer routine, which most of you probably don't have.
What?
And then, throw him in there. Just throw him in the mix.
Yeah.
But, do it kind of mean style.
Or maybe put his name on the temple thing.
Oh, yeah. Go to your local whatever.
Uh-huh. Put his name in.
Go into a cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
And ask people to pray for him.
Light a candle.
You gotta pay $1.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Or €1.
Uh-huh.
For the candle. And
then light it in Frank's honor.
Don't do any of the things that we're saying, by the way. Don't give $1 to a Catholic church ever.
But if you want to give $1 to me, I can put my Venmo in a link on some website.
Give Kate all of your dollars. That is actually a much safer.
And I'll buy him some soup and deliver it.
That's a much nicer thing than giving anything to a church.
I agree.
Probably. All right. Well, what do you have? Some stories?
I do. I'm going to start you off. Okay. You know this. I've been wanting to be able to tell jokes. Last week, I had a joke that I was trying to tell to people, and I failed. So I'm going to try a different joke with you. And
you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Do you know how to make a witch?
No.
I mean, I guess you could have gone on a sandwich tangent or something, but
okay. The worst way to do a joke is to jump in with what tangents could be thrown in.
I'm telling you, I don't have this
middle
down.
Of the joke.
I don't have this down. Okay, just oh shit.
Hey, Kate. How do you make a witch?
Just repeal Roe v. Wade.
Oh.
Well, okay. So this is I did obviously clearly a really poor job with my joke, but
I thought it was splendid.
The headline to this article that I'm going to be talking about today was how to make 1,000 witches with one Supreme Court decision. And it just sounded like a punchline to a joke to me that I could not fulfill. I'm sorry.
You did fine.
But in essence, the article that I want to talk to you about today is how during moments such as this one, where
you mean historical moments?
Historical moments
Sure.
such as this, when there's been political climates where people are being really repressed, like a repressive climate such as this, there's an upsurge in witchcraft.
What is meant by witchcraft in this case?
Well, people it's often witchcraft as kind of a substitution for religion.
Okay.
So, but it can
mean a spiritualist practice, a bit of woo, a bit of
and
divine feminine, whatever that means.
Right, you couldn't have that. But basically, what it is there's an attractiveness to the concept of magic to people who are being repressed.
Okay.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Look, name a person for whom the concept of having magic powers isn't attractive.
Right. And so I think when all of your powers are stripped away from you, often people turn to the magical.
To
right?
pretend powers.
To pretend powers.
Sure. I get that.
There's a resurgence that's happening now with Wiccan and I can't even remember all of the different. There are different.
That means that a lot of stores that have words like hollow, and moon, and gypsy in the title are going gangbusters right now.
And this is also what it means. If you get yourself a rock polisher right now, go out, buy a rock polisher, search your riverbeds, start polishing those stones up, you could make a killing. So
it's true.
I'm just telling you, like, side business.
Crystals are at a premium, y'all.
Exactly.
Now is your moment.
Now is your moment. That tinctures could be real big. Feathers.
Bundle up some sage, man.
God, like, start planting your herbal garden now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing like twine is probably a big thing.
Some jute. Wow, we are making fun. There are probably some people listening who are very offended.
Okay, well, and I apologize to the people.
I don't
to those
apologize.
People.
Just enjoy yourself.
But here is the thing. It does seem problematic to me anytime you replace religion with another thing that is, in essence, religion, and that's basically even though it feels like it's rooted in some sort of like strike against the patriarchy.
Yeah.
If you're replacing it with things that are fictional, that can be problematic.
Absolutely. Magical thinking is always going to be dangerous. It's always going to have a dark underbelly that is about that is, first of all, there's just the problem of not believing in reality.
Yeah, not believing in reality. Even when it's problematic.
Even when it sucks.
Even when it sucks. But I'm also torn because at the foundation of some of this witchiness is this like rebellion against patriarchy and trying to free women from this domination of, patriarchal power. And specifically in how it relates to women's bodies. So, like, we started off this segment talking about how repealing Roe v. Wade could, like, have this effect of turning people towards witchcraft in ways.
I'm just saying, let's encourage people to turn toward activism, toward actually taking steps to dismantle patriarchal structures. I'm all like down with the patriarchy 1,000%, but it's not going to be accomplished with like magical ceremonies and stuff. There may be like some nice psychological something catharsis to, joining with other women, dancing around a campfire, howling at the moon, whatever you want.
Accepting your bodies for whatever they are.
Do all of that.
Right.
Just let's let go of the magical thinking part of it.
Here is where those tinctures, though, that I spoke of.
Oh my God, we're going to tinctures.
We're going back to tinctures, and here's why. There are herbal things that will start an abortion.
Oh, yeah.
So, ironically, some of these...
Okay, so witch your baby away.
Witch your baby away. No, but they're really... That is actually what they're coming to. They're like almost calling out the network of people who knows these herbal remedies for...
If it actually works...
If it works.
And if it's not dangerous, this is why science is good.
That is the problem, is there's always going to be abortions. It's just we're making them less safe.
Yeah. So that's my point, is like, if it works and it's safe, but how do we know unless there's some science behind it?
Right. But it did make me curious because I was thinking about how... religions are protected from the government in a lot of ways. And I've said this to you before, Dan, just in our own conversations, but wondering if there was a religion that could, I know is it the Satanic Temple that says that abortion is a protected right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like witchcraft could maybe say that and point back to that this has been a practice through these herbal remedies that they've used for, hundreds of years.
Yeah. The whole point is that, like, just like the Satanic Temple.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. If it's not Christianity, then it doesn't get religious protection.
Well, okay.
this
I mean,
country.
it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like,
I know.
it's this catch-22. Anyway, interesting
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yep. I'm going to take us to, so we've been following sort of vaguely, not really hard, the travails of one Josh Duggar.
Okay.
One of the 19 and counting children of the Duggar family.
Yes, I've heard about him.
Not great. We first learned that he had molested some of his sisters. And then but
wait, in his defense in molesting the sisters, when you have 19 siblings, do you even know they're related to you?
I'm just going to start a sentence with do you know that you just said in his defense with molesting his sisters?
This was a joke.
I know.
Everybody, that was a joke. I was just saying, like, if you have 19 siblings and you like see one in the hall, do you even know you're related to them?
You're making the same joke again. I see. Well, I'm trying to move us away from joking about molesting a family, but that's all right.
Okay.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
So that was the first thing that we heard about him that made us all go, oh, maybe we don't, as a society, need to hear anything about Josh Duggar except that he's going to jail.
Right.
He didn't go to jail for that, or at least
Did
not.
he suffer any penalties? Do we know?
I don't know, something. I don't remember that. But then later, after he was married, he has 7, I think, children of his own already. Whoa. And he worked for the Family Research Council, which is a big conservative.
I have heard of the Family Research Council.
Yeah, so he worked for them for a long time. He then suddenly his car lot business was raided because the federal agents found out that he had been downloading some shit that you ain't supposed to download. And apparently, as he was being arrested, we found out he literally started yelling, "What is this about? Has anyone been downloading child pornography?"
Oh my God, no way. Are you kidding?
That is literally apparently a quote from
what the hell?
When he apparently and you know, of course his defense the whole time was that someone in the office was downloading.
It wasn't him, and he had no clue about it except that he
he just was really good at guessing why feds might raid a business and handcuff him.
I'm worried it might be that one of you
someone in here. What?
Oh my God.
So anyway, yes, he has now been convicted. He was convicted a few months ago of the child porn charges.
Oh God,
he has now been sentenced to over 12 years in prison.
That's great. They
were hoping the prosecutors were hoping for a full 20 years, which was the maximum sentence for the charges that he was convicted for.
Yeah. But that's a little bit of justice at least.
But 12, yeah.
And hopefully that comes with some therapy. And does it ever?
No. We're talking about the American justice system. There's nothing good for you in the American justice system. He's probably just going to join some white supremacist gang.
Probably.
And that'll be that. Anyway, fortunately, there are no more like Duggar TV shows. The network that was running them, I think it was TLC or whatever.
Were they still running shows about them?
Yeah, they had canceled 19 Kids and Counting, but then they started doing these other shows that were like focused on the new families, you know, the kids, individual families and whatever.
Wasn't that like 2010? How long ago was that show?
Yeah, but like there were 400 kids, so some of them are probably 80 now. I don't know.
A lot of spin-off TV shows is what you're saying.
Yeah, they had a lot of options, but TLC has basically cut ties with the Duggars.
Probably a smart idea.
I mean, it was always just a freak show.
Yeah. I mean, how could it be anything other than that? Yeah. How could you? The funny thing is a family like that probably like boasts that they have this great morality that goes along with having this many children. Doesn't it seem like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you got?
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the subject of religious charities
Okay.
and how they can kind of get away with pretty much anything, it seems like. But the good news out of the UK this week is that they finally dissolved this really radical Islamic charity. It was called the Islamic Research Foundation International, and it had been registered for a long time in the UK since like 2007. One of the ironies is that from this charity, they started a thing called Peace TV, PEACE.
Yeah.
And we're basically doing the opposite of that. So they get all these charitable donations. They start this TV channel, which is basically just spewing hatred. So it's like these terrible sermons that are being broadcast by this guy. I think his name is Naik, Dr. Zakir Naik. And it's just hatred.
Yeah.
Just pure hatred. But you get away with these sort of things because you're calling yourself a religious organization.
Right. And everybody's terrified of like calling out especially Islamic hatred.
Right.
Because those guys don't mess around.
No.
A lot of the time. But you know, here's the trick, everybody. Little helpful hint from TGIA over here. Where you have religious fundamentalism, you got bad things happening. It doesn't matter what the religion.
It doesn't matter which kind it is.
It can be Christianity, it can be Islam, it can be Judaism, it can be Buddhism, it can be Hinduism. Whatever your ism, just pick one of the isms.
And there's probably some bad stuff going down.
And boy, you got some people saying some nasty shit in the name of that ism.
But luckily, so the Charity Commission for England and Wales, and then also one in Canada, just very recently are starting to kind of put the hammer down on some of these charities and have begun to be very suspicious, especially like if they're cloaked under basically the advancement of religion. Like if that's kind of like what they say that their charity is, they're really looking into that. They're starting to actually kind of get a clue.
I mean, the whole point of a charity is to do service and good for society at large. And guess what? Preaching hatred and getting people to like be awful to
right
part of society,
probably not benefiting society in great ways.
Maybe you have to pay your taxes now.
I think that's very true. Do you guys have a charity? Could you have it? Oh, I guess, I mean, atheism isn't a religion, so you can't have a charity.
I can have whatever charity I want. Fuck you.
Don't are a charity case.
Look, people, if we had a charity, then we'd have to be accountable for what we do with the money that people give us.
That's a good point. But in Canada too, I'm going to go get back on track with the story. They're also kind of getting a clue when it comes to kind of the inequity between regular charities and religious charities. And they're like, maybe since we claim to be separated our religion from state, we shouldn't subsidize billions of dollars worth of our taxpayers' money to pay for religious activities.
I just think it's so funny. Like, religions often do some charity work. The Mormon Church that I was raised in does some charity work. $30 to $100 million worth of charity work,
which sounds like a lot. Until you
pan out.
Yeah.
And you see what chunk of the mountain of money that they have that actually represents. And then you think to yourself, maybe you don't get to call yourself a charity.
Right?
Maybe you are a business. You're a club.
Right. Oh, a club.
And, people pay their dues, their membership dues, which you charge a lot when 10% of the income is,
right.
That's a high due.
It's a lot of money to be a part of that club.
But maybe they don't get to write off that money, as a charitable donation, and unless you actually use it for charity.
Yeah,
and maybe you don't get to be nonprofit,
right?
Unless you're actually doing charitable work.
Yeah.
Commensurate with with the amount of money that's coming in.
That there is no oversight to that is baffling to me.
Yeah, well, that's the society.
Another great thing about our country.
You want to know? Here's how insidious the people are.
Okay.
The religious folks are.
I mean, I know, but you can go on.
Well, I mean, we all. Sorry, what I meant to say is here's another example.
There you go.
Let's just do another one. This one is apparently a fella named William Harrison just got his PhD. Congratulations to him. His PhD is in missiology.
How do you spell that?
Missiology.
Is it about Mississippi?
It's not.
Oh.
It is the study of missions and missionary work. And he got it at...
missionary positions.
Missionary position. He got it at from Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Suspicious.
Dun, dun, dun. Here's the thing. He happens to be a chaplain in the United States military for the U.S. Army. And he wrote his doctoral dissertation. Go with what you know.
Sure. That's one of the tenets of good writing, they say.
They say. I never do it, but his dissertation was titled "The United States Military, a Field for Great Commission Fulfillment." Now, commission fulfillment, for those of you who don't know,
I don't. I'm raising my hand.
Baptist code is missionary work
in the military. What?
So what this means is what he's proposing and what he has clearly been doing for his entire chaplaincy career is trying to use the U.S. military as a way, as a place where he can, as a chaplain, convert soldiers, which that is not what he is supposed to be doing. Chaplains in the military are meant to be non-denominational. So a military chaplain is meant to be able to minister to, people of any religious background.
I had no idea about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. But they still haven't, a bunch of people have applied. They still don't have any humanist chaplains in the U.S. military. However, that the job is to be able to minister to anyone.
Not to convert them to your specific religion.
Not to fucking convert them. He's not only saying that, he's saying that people in the military have this opportunity because, they get stationed in different countries around the world.
Oh my God.
They have the opportunity to do their missionary work off base.
They're like, you're stationed in places of turmoil. These people are seeing horrific things. Convert them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The same things with if they're preaching to people who are in the military service, they're probably coming to a chaplain when they're suffering greatly.
That's right.
And then they're taking advantage of them in this time of this weakened state of mind.
Because that's literally what they're trained to do.
Wow.
Always seek out people at their weakest.
Yeah.
And then
they're most vulnerable.
And then tell them they have to accept Jesus.
God, that's so gross. And then to admit it and write a whole paper about it.
Write a whole book about it.
Yeah.
It's a 211-page book.
Wow.
Basically just extolling the virtues of using the United States military, which is by its nature, by law, a secular institution, though not in practice, as we've, longtime listeners have heard many stories about people in the United States military either encountering, there is
such
wild discrimination. There is huge advantage for those who are Christian and all of this sort of stuff.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Anyway, that's fun.
That's so gross. And there's probably nothing you can do about that, right? Legally?
I don't know.
It seems like it's.
I don't know.
It seems like it's a lawsuit waiting to be.
I hope so.
Filed by.
Well, I mean,
Freedom
but
from Religion
but right
Foundation
now
or
it's just a theory paper. But if you could find examples of
I was
this
going to
guy,
say, if you can show, he's probably given examples in them.
maybe.
If he wrote it well, he did. Because
let's get Andrew Seidel on this.
There you go.
Somebody, some constitutional lawyer, get in on that. Get in on that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move us on to something a little lighter.
Oh, good.
Children's books.
Oh, you said children, and my heart skipped a beat.
No, books.
Thank you.
Children's books.
Thank God. All right, well done.
This story actually has a Utah base.
Oh.
Which is obviously where we're located. So there's a girl who grew up in Utah. And growing up in Utah, you're confronted with religion a lot. Like it is in your face.
The hell you say?
This girl was not raised in a religious family. She was raised in a family that was very much open to letting her choose her own path and make her own decisions.
This is the wrong choice.
No, but they also exposed her to a lot of science. And so when she was 8 years old, she was watching a documentary. It was the Cosmos documentary. I think, did you ever watch that with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I watched a few.
I watched a little bit of it
episodes.
too.
It wasn't my favorite, but
you probably remember because people kind of made a little bit of fuss out of it. But when he told viewers that, as humans, we're all made of star stuff. Do you remember that was a big deal? People kind of lost their shit about that because it sounds so. It makes us feel fancy, we are the stars.
Yeah.
I don't know. The people really, that spoke to a lot of people.
I've had some moments on the toilet where I was like, oh my God, that feels like star stuff is passing through me.
A meteoroid.
That was fire. That was burning hot plasma.
You silly. Anyway, this little girl was so inspired by that concept that she, as an 8-year-old, started writing a book about, and it's based in this humanist concepts of evolution and interconnectedness of living things. But she based it, she named her main character Stardust. And she's a spunky little protagonist. She ended up writing 3 books in this series. And then her little sister ended up writing a book too. I love this idea of these kids in this family who are all writers.
I also wrote a book when I was a child, but nobody should probably read it.
Right? Well, I think their father actually helped them.
They were guided.
Yes, they were guided.
Sure.
They were the instigators of their own books. I'm sure they were edited pretty precisely by adults.
Yes.
But they did get these books published. And the interesting thing is that these books have just been translated into 4 different languages: Farsi, Urdu, Arabic, and Bahasa Indonesia.
I have in my mind made a connection between all of those languages.
Yes, and what is it?
That would be Islam.
Yes, Muslim majority countries.
Yeah.
And so basically there's this project called the Translations Project, which is an offshoot of the Humanist Center for Inquiry, which has made it a goal to translate a lot of scientific material into other religions where they might not have the ability to read, to have these things available to them.
Right.
Specifically, in theories of evolution, things that might go against the teachings.
Right. These books are not no bookseller in Saudi Arabia is going to carry this book because they'll get in trouble.
Exactly. But if they can find it online and find a translation, they can maybe be introduced to these things that are they're dangerous if other people learned about them, possibly, but they'll open their eyes to things that they might not learn about.
That's what kind of when the internet's at its best, it's about getting good ideas over the wall.
Exactly. Tossing them or sending them afloat in a little bottle on the sea.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. But these are the first children's books that have been available in this project. So that's kind of cool because little kids are in such a moldable space, and when they're learning, and they're looking for understanding about their place in the world and where they came from. And so it's great to have quality, and I haven't read these books, so I can't attest to their quality, but I'm guessing if they were picked, they must have put some effort in and really touched a chord with people about letting non-religious kids feel represented and seeing themselves and seeing themselves in ways that they could feel left out of. Sometimes these creation stories feel so big and interesting, and that Stardust saying could kind of still make a kid feel special.
Yeah.
Like when they think of the grandioseness of the universe, it's exciting and thrilling.
And this is the problem. Kids shouldn't feel special. Stop it. All right. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, I think that's really sweet.
We'll see if that does anything. I'm going to close us out with a story out of Poland.
Okay.
Now I've been to Poland, and one of the fun memories for me of driving through Poland is the Polish countryside just being littered with, like, every mile, instead of a mile marker, you see a Jesus on a cross or a little shrine to a saint or something.
Interesting.
Because it's still to this day over 85% Catholic.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought there were a lot of Jewish people that were from Poland.
Oh, no, something happened to them.
Oh, I think my family was from Poland.
Yeah. It's the Jewish community is actually
really
very small there. I don't know how big it was before World War II.
Yeah.
But anywho, it's a very Catholic country.
Mm-hmm.
However, they just took a step ahead of the United States of America.
Oh no, in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
Okay.
The Poland version of the Boy Scouts, which is the ZHP, which I think translates to the Polish Scouting and Guiding Association. Not ZHP doesn't translate to that, but whatever the words are that stands for, which I'm sure even if I saw them, this article just has the letters. Even if I saw the words, I
wouldn't read them.
Wouldn't even take a run at reading them. They cross their L's and
I have no idea about pronunciation. Yeah. I'd be lost.
Turns out I don't speak Polish.
I never.
Even when I was in Poland,
I never said you did.
Poland was the one place where I actually used my German, though.
You've told me that story.
It's not useful in Germany because everybody speaks English much better than I speak German.
You got to find some common languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Polish Boy Scouts have now created an option where when you take the Boy Scout oath or the Scout oath, they now have a non-theist option.
Does the Boy Scout oath here have is God in the oath?
100%.
Oh, I didn't know that.
To the point where the Boy Scouts of America has made some strides in the last 10 years. They now, not only do they accept
trans
gay folk, they accept trans folk, they accept girls.
Yeah.
They do not accept atheists.
That is amazing. I didn't realize
that. As a matter of fact, if you want to get your Eagle Scout, you have to get now an inclusivity badge. The merit badge for inclusivity.
Yeah, but they
don't include me.
Wow, hypocrisy at its finest.
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of crazy. But Poland, meanwhile, has done. They haven't done away with the old oath. They've just provided an option oath.
Seems like a pretty easy fix.
Yeah, don't kid yourself though. The group has a pastoral council made up of 7 Catholic priests who are infuriated.
Oh, they are?
This is not acceptable.
I wonder who came up with this new idea.
I don't know. Literally, they said that the change, quote, can even be perceived as discrimination, consisting of open de-Christianization, which over time will result in the atheization, that is not a word, of members, and not only moral but ideological conflicts.
I like atheization.
Sure.
Let's embrace that.
Okay.
But discrimination, oh my God.
You're being discriminated against because other people have an option now.
Well, that's how pretty much anybody who's Christian in America looks at it.
That is literally every bit of Christian persecution in the United States of America. There is Christian persecution in the world.
But that sums it up pretty well.
None of it happens here.
Yeah.
All the Christian persecution here is just someone else gets a right.
Yeah.
Or someone else.
They get an option. They get to be treated fairly. They get to be included.
They get as much privilege as I get.
Discrimination.
It is discrimination.
Oh my God, that's wild.
So anyway, go Poland.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
Or part of Poland. The people who came up with that.
The Boy Scouts.
But not
the Polish Scouts.
But not the Catholic priests who.
No. Catholic priests are always wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, if you would like to tell us about your scouting organization in your country, feel free to write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com is the email address. Or you can call into us, 424-666-8442, and leave us a voicemail. We love it when you do that. And we'll be back with a little more show in just a moment.
Yay.
Miss Kate.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but pastors in this country have things to say.
I do know. Sadly, yes.
I like. I'm gonna play. Every now and then we play something by Kent Christmas. And I love the name Christmas as a last name. I find it delightful.
Yeah.
And he's got that old timey kind of pastoring that he does. He likes to holler. He looks.
Show me a picture of him.
This is him. He's wearing a white vest in this one. He's often wearing like bedazzled everything and
lots of gesticulation.
Yeah, this time he's wearing a black t-shirt under a white I don't know. And
it kind of looks like possibly biker vest.
Yeah, but
he's trying to be cool.
It's like cream.
Yeah, but
he's
trying to be cool.
He's a man in his probably 50s or maybe 60s.
Yeah, maybe early 60s.
With white hair with gray hair that he has fluffed backwards.
It's styled. It's got some.
Anyway, he's gonna give us all what for.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
He's gonna tell us what he represents.
Okay.
Don't write me letters to criticize because I don't read them. They're going in a trash. You wasted your time. If you want to talk about how good God is, we'll read it. But listen, we are not here to make peace with the devil. We will not compromise with you. If you don't love God, you are not our friend. We stand for the word of the Lord. Yes, we don't believe in abortion. No, we don't believe in homosexuality. No, we don't accept Biden as our president. We stand on the word of the Lord, and by the power of God, there is a boldness that needs to get in your spirit and rise up by the power of the Lord.
Okay. I figured it out, though.
Oh?
You just say duh at the end of every word.
Just have
a little vowel sound.
A little off glide.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that for this show. Maybe we should do that for this show, and we should go and tell everybody about how there's no such thing as Jesus.
Hey, I feel like you actually could do that, Dan. Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
I don't think it's good for you.
No, it does sort of look like your face might explode when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Cardiac arrest is like just looming.
Yeah, exactly. And I probably gave our editor a fit with trying to figure out how to get my levels to a decent place on that. Sorry, Roger.
But you were real good at it.
Well, there you go. Apparently it's not that hard.
It didn't seem like it. I'm going to practice it later with my kids.
Do. They don't believe in abortion.
No. Abortion, no.
Abortion, and they don't believe in homosexuality, and
none of us do, because those aren't words.
Right. They do believe in homosexuality.
Yeah, they just don't want to support it.
They just don't like it.
Right.
And the Biden thing was interesting.
It was interesting.
We're going to have more talk about that later.
Yeah, they're definitely still on that.
Friends, put a pin
yes.
In the Christian people not accepting the results of an election.
Yeah.
Here in these United States.
We will be speaking about that.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Christmas is every day with him.
Oh, Christmas is exhausting.
Yeah, it's true.
In reality and
also, just so everyone knows, his head is probably like I've got a big head, but his head looks like it's 3 times too big.
But when you talk that way, I feel like it blows up, kind of like a balloon. It's like, psh, psh, psh. It just kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's going to explode.
Meaning, he's such a blowhard, it has inflated his head.
Yeah, I'm not joking. That's exactly it.
All right. Well, we had some folks write into us. Some lovely listeners have sent us missives. This is from Matt. Now, last week on the show, as you, an avid listener, will recall.
I do recall.
You don't even know what I'm going to say yet.
I recall it, Dan.
We talked about the Mennonites of the United States voting to be cool with the gays, which was a shocker to me. So Matt wrote in about that. Says, been a fan of the show for a few years now. Having grown in one of the dozen or so Anabaptist sects, of which Mennonites are one, the surprising news of Mennonites becoming more gay-friendly reminded me of a story, and in my opinion shows how ultra-progressive the Mennonites are relative to their peers.
Okay.
I grew up in an Anabaptist sect known as the Hutterites, or Hooterites. I don't know how they say it. How conservative does it get? Well, some years ago in a nearby commune, aka colony, a young wife asked the supreme leader for a divorce because her husband happens to be gay.
Aww.
Request denied. Because divorce does not exist in this society.
Sure.
To get divorced, you have to leave. Side note, apologists love to cite the divorce rate when bragging about their utopia.
It's not even, oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, if people are bragging that there are no
about
divorces,
a thing that doesn't exist,
that would be that means that there are people in very unhappy marriages.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, divorce is great, you guys. Divorce saves people. Everyone should be very happy about the institution of divorce.
I agree.
As one comedian who has fallen out of favor, for good reason.
Yeah.
As he put it. No good marriages ever ended in divorce.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a reason behind it.
So Matt goes on now. This is a roughly 300,000 member strong secret society. You cannot join. You are born into it. They speak their own language, literally.
Wow.
And everyone you have ever known lives in one of the hundreds of private villages made of your ethnic group.
And are they scattered across the U.S. or are they in like a specific location mainly?
I think they're largely European.
Oh, okay.
I am not sure about that.
Maybe he'll write in and tell us.
He did write in an ancillary email, but I don't have that pulled up right now. Anyway, contact with outsiders is strictly controlled. It is almost impossible to leave because the level of cult deprogramming needed is insurmountable for most people. A common way out is to join a different cult.
Wow.
Not to mention language barrier, education, starting from nothing.
Wow.
For me, it's been almost 15 years since I left, and I feel incredibly lucky to have escaped and to find myself living a happy, healthy atheist lifestyle.
Oh, I bet he has such an interesting story.
Yeah, he just said it.
No, but I want to hear all the ins and outs of it. I want to hear how he left. I want to hear all of it.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. So congrats for getting out.
Yeah.
That's
and I'm sure that took a lot of bravery and hard work, and that's just amazing.
And apparently his English is quite good.
Yeah, clearly.
Jessica wrote into us, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I really enjoy listening to you two on chat on your podcast. I like your title, Thank God I'm Atheist, and it took me a minute before I grasped the irony because saying thank God has always been part of my language, even as a lifelong non-religious person. I've tried to say thank goodness instead, but it makes me feel even more Pollyanna-ish than I already am. There's got to be another option. Anyway, just wondering whether you ever think about the irony of saying Jesus Christ or oh God for emphasis during the podcast, and do you consciously realize that you're doing it? It seems so natural in your speech patterns and also so antithetical to what you believe as atheists."
That is funny. And here, I have something interesting to say about this because, so I grew up non-religious and then I converted to Mormonism at 16 and then left the religion later. But after I had converted, I used the same sort of language. And so I would say, oh God, oh my God, or oh God. And in Mormonism, that's like an affront. Like that's like swearing.
You do not do
You
it.
don't say that. And I can remember the look of horror on my sister-in-law's face when I would say that. And I was struck by that.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like this in me, there's kind of like this almost little sly ironic thing in saying, oh God, oh my God. It feels like subversive in a way.
Let me tell you something. So I obviously grew up Mormon in a way that you didn't. So it was verboten from day one for me. And now, there is some irony in that, like, I never said it until I was an atheist.
Exactly.
I never said, oh my God. I never said Jesus Christ. I never, like, as an exclamation.
Yeah.
I never did that. But I always wanted to when I was a kid.
Oh, I know.
As a matter of fact, I remember distinctly one time I was on a road trip with my family, and I had been watching Three's Company. Do you remember the show Three's Company?
Of course.
I'm sure it was fine television. I haven't seen it for a minute.
Three's Company too.
And they had used the phrase "oh my God" a bunch, and I was too young to have really gotten that lesson yet. And I remember saying, "Oh my God!" And my parents, I'm sure they didn't slam on the brakes, but it felt
a metaphorical
like they slammed on the brakes of the car. And we don't say that. And I was like, oh my
God, we don't.
My God. But here's the truth of the matter is I have given this a lot of thought, Jessica. And the fact is that I don't think that religions own those phrases.
Yeah.
I feel like culture owns those phrases now. And that is just what we say
in these as an expression,
as an exclamation in these moments. And I actually take a little, maybe too much pleasure in it.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that it sounds natural coming out of me because it probably didn't for the first few times I did it.
Yeah.
But also, like, I go overboard. When people sneeze, I say, God bless you.
Uh-huh.
I don't just say bless you. I need to throw in the God. Sometimes I get fancy with it. May God bless and keep you. May the Lord grant you health. I don't know. I just like playing around with it.
Splash around in it if it's there.
Yeah.
I agree.
It may offend some. And I don't go out of my way to offend people, but that one, they don't own that.
Yeah. I'm on the same page with you there.
Anyway. Look, we have some donors to thank.
Nice.
I don't do the donor thing. That's Frank.
Oh, that's Frank's job.
Frank's thing. We're going to thank one person this time.
Okay.
Maybe two.
All right.
And then next week, we will thank the rest of y'all. I assume it was many, many.
Oh, it was probably so many.
And if it wasn't, shame on you, and you better.
But you've got a week to make up.
Yeah, load up. Load it up.
Hurry.
Jump in for next week.
Forgot. Do it
now.
But
the one person that I know for a fact did sign up this week was Craig. So thank you so much, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Craig is now a deacon in the Aaronic priesthood.
Does that mean he gets to pass the sacrament?
He gets to pass the sacrament. and has whatever magic powers a Mormon 12-year-old gets. So,
Well, that's impressive.
I mean, a 12-year-old boy, obviously, girls don't get magic powers.
No.
Anyway, in our world, everybody can get magic powers. It's you just buy them from us.
I love this.
You give us
I love
money,
this.
and we give you magic powers.
Perfect.
Anyway, thanks so much, Craig. And I don't know for sure who our Lord and Savior is, so I'm just going to thank our Lord and Savior.
As do I.
I assume I
You know who you are.
You know who you are, Lord and Savior. You're fucking God, for crying out loud. You
Come
know
on.
who you are. Anyway, thanks to all of our donors. We will give you, we will name you and love you and heap praises upon you next week.
Sounds good.
More show coming up. So, Kate.
Yes.
The first session of the, I don't know what do you call it?
The
January
hearing.
6th
Select
commission.
committee hearing.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
A bunch of politicians talking about a horrible thing that happened here in these United States.
Yes.
They had their first little televised.
Yes, they did yesterday.
Diddly-do.
I listened to it, or watched it, I should say.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
We were sitting next to each other at the
Yeah,
time.
we were together. You were kind of hesitant at first.
Here's the thing. I hate political theater so much.
As do I, but I kind of sometimes want to hear the thing coming out of the horse's mouth, you know?
And they got all the footage that you can't see
the
anywhere
clips
else.
And yeah.
Anyway, it was interesting. It was, no one who's paying real attention was shocked by anything.
No, and I feel like nobody who's watching the hearings are the people who need to be watching the hearings, probably.
Well, probably not.
I mean, Fox News is definitely not going out of their way to broadcast it.
Ivanka kind of threw her dad under the bus. That was kind of fun.
That was a fun part. That really was. I liked that.
But one thing we didn't hear about, and you pointed this out to me, you wanted to talk about it.
I did.
Is one of the most important factors that led to the insurrection on January 6th.
And we're still, and is still a problem.
Is a deep, deep social
Wound.
issue
Yeah.
in our country right
Yeah.
now. And that is Christian nationalism.
Exactly. And I think the reason that I wanted to talk about it, because we had just listened to that hearing yesterday, was I've read so much and heard so much about how this division between conservatives and liberals has become this, it's not just a political thing anymore. It's become this religious, delusion of the separation between like people who are on God's side and then the satanic liberals.
Yeah. I mean, literally, we just heard a preacher yelling about how we, meaning Christians, at least Christians of his ilk, don't believe
that Joe
Biden is the president.
Exactly.
Christianity in the United States was harnessed, was specifically co-opted and used,
targeted, manipulated
to convince people to attack our government and to not believe the outcome of a fair and free election.
And is still being used to do those things.
And it's evident, when you see footage of the January 6th insurrection in 2021, you see things like the QAnon shaman in his buffalo hat and his
painted face
and shirtless tattooed body. Why weren't you wearing a shirt, sir?
He was proud of his figure.
But QAnon shaman, nothing about that to me screams Jesus.
No.
He didn't look like a Jesus-y person.
Until he opens his mouth.
Until he literally got into the Senate chamber and into a megaphone or whatever, starts yelling a prayer.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. When you look back on the events of that day, they're all basing their actions in saying that they're doing this for God and country, and that it's a country based on Christian principles, and that Donald Trump has been chosen by God. And they've got this religious zealot fire that is causing them to like do harm.
Yeah. And all over the country now, we see in primary elections that are happening right now all over the country, the right wing is putting forth candidates who are extreme Christian nationalists. I mean, we've heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say that Christian nationalism is a good thing.
Oh yeah, they're
she
coming
used
out with
the phrase.
Yeah.
So like, this is the point, which is that like, they're owning it. And let's not forget, Christian nationalism was Nazism. Nazism was a Christian nationalist movement.
Yeah, and I think they probably hear those two words and don't realize the impact of what they're saying. They're hearing Christian and they're hearing national.
And they think, that makes me a patriot.
That sounds real good. But like, it's really like a terrorist organization at this point.
It is.
Homegrown.
And all of the domestic terrorism, all of the terrorism that America is facing currently
is stemming from this.
Comes from Christianity.
Exactly.
All of it now.
If they had somebody who was an Islamic nationalist doing any of these things, plotting against our country in any way to overthrow anything, they would have those people put to death.
They would be calling for the death penalty.
They really would.
But because they are convinced of the rightness of their position, doing exactly the same action should be lauded, should be applauded. Like, they're horrified that people are actually being charged with crimes about this stuff.
Yeah.
They're furious about it.
I'm so curious to hear about like the Proud Boy sedition charges and stuff. I mean, I love seeing that some of these people are being held accountable, but I do wish that we could talk about the problem that this form of Christianity plays in this. It is so integral to it.
Well, and here's the thing. Our listeners will have been familiar because we played so many clips of people like Greg Locke, the pastor from Tennessee, who leading up to, before January 6th and before the election even, were guaranteeing their followers that God was predetermining this
they had
election.
Revelations about it.
They were prophesying.
Yeah.
And then when he didn't win, it was the devil and they needed to fight against the devil. Greg Locke literally said, this is a quote.
Oh, okay.
God is on our side. This was the night before January 6th.
Okay.
This was January 5th. He says,
everybody knew what was going to be going down on January 6th. That was not a secret.
Yeah.
Everybody knew.
Yeah. Trump had tweeted about it. He said, get out here. Everybody had, all the right wing, like nut job outlets were saying, get yourself to it.
We were all worried that there was going to be a coup because we knew what was going on.
Right. Yeah,
As an American people, we knew.
Yeah, exactly. None of us, we weren't ignorant that this was going to happen.
Exactly.
Greg Locke literally said, God is on our side. America is the last bastion of Christian freedom, it's the last bastion of capitalism. I declare unto you that President Donald Trump is going to stay for 4 more years in the White House. We're a mighty army. They've got to listen. They can't ignore us.
Wow, we're a mighty army. And that's the scary thing about this. Like, you read the Bible, it's violent.
Yeah.
When you say like, ooh, that's biblical, it doesn't mean peaceful.
No.
That's not what that word conjures when you say these are biblical events happening. Like it's fraught. and that's what these people are using as an excuse.
Yeah.
Like when you have God on your side, like when you literally think this isn't about politics anymore, this is about God, that's frightening. People will do anything.
Well, and even when it is just about politics, when you think about QAnon as a concept,
Right.
QAnon was never about Jesus.
Right.
QAnon was about politics
Right.
and military and whatever. But if you find QAnon followers, it's about Jesus. It's a cult in the same way. And it is this, and I think, I mean, QAnon, whoever
that is.
that may be, watch the documentary. It's that weirdo
It's that
guy.
dude, yeah.
Anyway, QAnon is, might as well have been a religious thing, and he probably started posting some Jesus-y
Right.
stuff.
And anything like that turns into a religion, when people are used to having that sort of religious language and thought, it just naturally goes into that, right? It just naturally morphs.
Yeah, the religion is, unfortunately, even in a peaceful time, it primes its followers' minds to be open to things that they should not be open to, and to be manipulable in ways that they should not be able to be manipulated.
Yeah.
And it's a cyclical thing, and I think we have cycled back to the worst of it.
Oh, I mean,
literally,
have we ever been like this? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we have. Literally, the connection was made for me by a guy, and I don't remember who it was. He's running for office somewhere in this country. And he literally said, we need to reenact the House Un-American Activities Committee. This is McCarthy. This is back in the back in the Red Scare,
right?
When they were literally trying people, and ruining people's lives.
Yeah.
In the sake of, in the name of getting rid of the damn communists.
The commies, yeah. Right.
This is the same thing, and this
but
may be worse.
I don't think there was the national fervor in the same. I mean, maybe there was, but this feels like there's a polarity that, and I don't know because I wasn't alive during those times, so I can't speak to it.
We're very young.
We're just young whippersnappers. But it's definitely new in my lifetime.
Yeah. It's not good. So I guess the call to action here. I hate that phrase so much. Everybody stop using call. No, they're not going to stop using it.
You just used it. You can't. It's sorry.
Here for good. But here's what I would like. Here's what I would suggest is that we start pointing out what Christian nationalism is and start extolling the virtues. We don't even have to call out Christian nationalism. Forget it. Start talking about how wonderful secular society is for everyone. Start make the conversation about how secularism doesn't serve secular people. It serves all people.
The point is to lift up a community. The point isn't to lift up a segment, the religious segment.
A single segment of it. And the point is to create space for everyone
to have their own beliefs.
To have their own beliefs, to practice as they need to to act in accordance with the dictates of their own conscience.
Yeah.
And as long as they're not infringing the rights of others, there's space and room for that. And that can only happen in secularism.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be what the United States is based off.
It's 100%. It's right there in the document.
Yeah, but it's so weird that this thing that they value, this Constitution that they value, they've corrupted.
Yeah.
It's so corrupted.
You just tell them, hey, I know you like that Second Amendment, but maybe put it in reverse and drive back and see that First Amendment again.
Right.
Take another quick look at it.
Or take a look at all of the Second Amendment. Just don't just nitpick the little part
Okay,
that you
well,
send it to.
now we're
like-
complicating the matter. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, read the thing. Don't think you know it,
Yeah.
because you probably don't.
Anyway, yeah, secularism is the only way to have a fair and just society.
And I think it's the only way to get our politics back to a reasonable level.
Yeah.
Like, to take down the pitch.
Yeah. Don't expect to hear it in the January 6th
No,
committee hearings. That's not going to be a thing that you'll hear about, but it should be.
And try to look for it if you're listening to it. I'm going to be interested.
It's a fun drinking game, if
There you
nothing
go.
else. Take a shot every time somebody yells, "We're doing this for Jesus!"
Exactly.
All right, folks. Well, if you have a story you'd like to tell us about Christian nationalism and how it's blessed your life, please feel free to write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com, or call into us and tell us in your own voice by calling 424-666-8442. That's TGIA. If your phone still had letters
and
on it.
numbers on it.
Yeah. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
I love it there.
Yeah. It's also the members only lounges are wonderful places to commune with like-minded, wonderful people. To find those, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com/members only. That's on Discord and Facebook. And thanks so much to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music, to Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and thanks to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you. And thank you, Kate, for substituting. You're a miracle. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
Talk to you next week, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.